Hi, it's Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I thought it would be fun to share with you the 8 eyeshadow palettes I'm really excited to reach for this summer. I feel like I go for a different sort of eyeshadow look in the summer. Sometimes it's very minimal and sometimes it's very much like all the stuff. And I feel like all of these can do that. I do have 4 smaller palettes, 4 larger palettes. Here is one that I've had for 2.5 years. Really love it. And it's one of those that when I reach for it, I'm like, oh yeah, so good. But when you have as much makeup as I do, sometimes things kind of get lost in the shuffle. This is from M Cosmetics. This is their Divine Sky eyeshadow. And this right here is in the colorway Rodin. And this is the lightest nude palette that they have. They do have one that's a little bit darker, a little bit warmer and toastier, but for my fair skin, this one is perfect. You get 3 mattes, 3 shimmers, and the formulation is amazing. The other thing I love about this is that each one of the outside packaging is different. So if you have the one in Venetian Rose, it's kind of like a pinky rose shade. If you have the one in Saturn's Return, it's a gray. So they're all exactly the same size. They look the same, but you don't have to turn it around and read the name on the back because the color tells you which one you're pulling for. So I have 5 of these palettes. Love them so much. This is the one that really feels like summer because these colors can be warm but not too orangey, as well as I can use one shade over the lid and be done, or this shade here in the crease for a little sculpting. I can use this in a variety of ways using all the shades or just 1 or 2 and still get a stunning look. Talk about one I haven't thought about in a minute, and this is from Lisa Eldridge. I normally go for, my favorite ones are Vega and Sorcery. So one really spangly party in a palette that has the blues and the greens, and then one that's very cool toned with kind of grays and silvers in there. But this is the one in Muse. And I forget how much I like, you know, kind of these warmer, rosy toned eyeshadows. I especially, and this is interesting because normally I'm saying how much I love the sparkles. The sparkles are beautiful, but these matte shades, it's hard to see this one here because it's very close to my skin tone. They apply beautifully. They apply so well. I will say the one thing I have discovered is I have all 5 of the palettes from Lisa Eldridge, and I need eyeshadow primer. I'm one of those people who like, what step can I skip? Usually it's primer or it's setting spray or, you know, something where I'm like, I don't need a lip liner today, or I'm only wearing corrector. I'm always trying to minimize, especially in the summertime, my routine. But this is one I would say if you're going to use these, and I don't have oily eyelids. I use most of my shadows without any sort of eyelid primer, but I find that I get better longevity with these and better pigmentation when I do use an eyeshadow primer. But they are gorgeous. They're very subtle. For me, the one thing that Lisa is a master of, she has a painter's eye, an artist's eye who loves shades and tonalities and undertones. And I feel like a lot of these shades work on a wide variety of skin tones. They are the sort of shades that are going to flatter a wide range of people. And that's one of the reasons I really love this palette. And I definitely need to dip into this warmer sort of, you know, pinky moment here with Muse. Here's a newer palette that I just cannot stop reaching for. This is the Couture Mini Clutch from YSL. This is in the shade 100. And for me, it's this shade right here. This shade is so beautiful. I don't know how many times I have very little going on. I'll run my finger in this, take it over the lid, throw on a whisper of mascara. When I add this to a really fast routine, I can get out the door in less than 7 minutes. Like seriously, so, you know, minimal brows, minimal lashes, no eyeliner, a sheer easy lip product, and blush and corrector with this. And either I use this shade all over the crease or I use this shade all over the lid. And sometimes I'll do an entire look using all of it, and I feel very much like it's just enough and not too much. Like today, the look that I have going on is a little bit more intense than I usually go for, but if I want something that's elegant and simple, but still glamorous, but not trying too hard, this is such a gorgeous palette. It is expensive, but she's lovely. Another one that I just got that I'm like, this is everything I want for summer, is this one right here from Beauty Pie. This is limited edition though. So if you're interested in getting, they have 2 palettes for summer. This one right here is called Summer Smoky. I do love that we have 2 metallics, 2 mattes. I also like that these pans are magnetic and refillable. I think the plan is for Beauty Pie to come out with more of these singles. And I also like that the brush that they put in here, although it is teeny tiny, it's like, you know, somebody shrunk it down with like a little, you know, shrinking ray gun or something. It is actually functional because it's not too hard, it's not too stiff, you're not gonna feel like you're scratching your eye, you're not gonna build up a whole bunch of fallout as you're touching the product to the pan itself. Both sides are functional. I've used it. You really have to want to use it, but if you need it, it's in here. And I like that the quality is I think it's probably the best brush other than a full-size brush, like the ones from Sigma are really nice, that I've gotten in a palette this size. Usually it's sponge tip applicators or really pokey brushes. Even like the ones in here, you'll notice there aren't any in here. I got rid of them. They were cheap and terrible. And like, I'm like, not even on a day when I'm in a pinch, I'd more likely use my fingers than use the ones that are in here. And this is $68. This is in the 20s. And man, it's really good, and this little brush is fantastic. By the way, if you're curious to see looks with these palettes, I will link, there'll be 8 videos linked down in the description box. If you wanted to see, oh, I want to see what Muse looks like, or I want to see what Rodin looks like, I will have all of those listed in the description box down below because I've done looks with all of these. Here's one that when I got it 2 years ago, I fell head over heels for. Head over heels. And I wore it a lot last summer, and then I just kind of lost track of it. That's really easy to do when you get as much makeup coming in regularly to your collection like I do. I'm always curious about what's new or trying things for review. But the truth is, this is one of those palettes I would want in a more pared down collection because I like the formulas and I love the colors. This is Patrick Ta's Major Dimension 2. This is like the rose theme palette. One thing I will say is, although it's, you know, a little scratchy right here, it was covered in fingerprints. I was like, let's clean it before we show it. But it has this beautiful mix. We've got 2 creams here. We've got a bunch of mattes, and then these metallics. Okay, so my husband always likens me to like a bird, always going for something shiny and sparkly. Look at these. Look at these. He's like, you know, you always want sparkly jewelry. You always love sparkly eyeshadow. You like shiny lips. I'm like, you betcha I do. This delivers. I don't have the first one because I feel I have enough warm neutrals that I didn't need the first Major Dimensions, which is kind of like a toasty warm with some bronzes and golds and things. And I didn't get Major Dimension 3, which is an all matte palette, because I feel like I have those mattes where I need them. Especially since I picked up one from Danessa Myricks, the Groundwork palette that had a lot of similar shades and similar tones, and they came out about the same time. I was like, I'd choose this one over that one. And I stand by that decision. But this palette here, this is one of those that if I wasn't doing YouTube, I wouldn't be buying as much makeup, but I would get this and I would use it to like where there'd be like pan in every single one. Really, really love this. All right, here's one that's newer. And I just started using, and I had to tell myself not to reach for it today. Okay, this is new from Sigma. This is their Cool Neutrals. So I love that they do give you this really beautiful, functional, full-size brush. It's double-ended. That is great. Sigma is known for making beautiful brushes, and I like that they're not just putting kind of like a cheap, junky, trashy brush in here. You can use this and build a perfect look. All right, but a lot of people have been saying it's not really Cool Neutrals because we do have some warmth over here. Yeah, okay, fine. But the cool tones over here, but what I like is I can use them as duos, like these two, or these two, or these two. And I think for me, it's even though it's a larger palette and there are a lot of shades in there, it's the ease of being able to use those duos. One matte, one shimmer, one matte, one shimmer. Or I can use ones on the warmer side of the palette, or I can use ones on the cooler side of the palette and build out really diverse looks. I really, really like this. I feel like the shimmers are beautiful. And for me, I was used to different types of metallics because these have more of a dry feel to them. The one from YSL, the one from Patrick Ta, even the ones from M have a really creamy feel to them. And these feel really dry, but they sparkle and they're beautiful. They wear really well with and without eyeshadow primer, which is huge for me. So this next palette is one I haven't quite had for a year yet, but it came out the tail end of last summer, like in August, and I was head over heels. And it was the first time in a long time that I had purchased a Natasha Denona palette. I had the Metropolis palette. I had some of the old like 5-pan ones before she started making minis, when they were larger size and they were like $48, $49 a piece. So I did have Natasha Denona in my collection, but these midi-size palettes were always coming out in colorways that I'm like, okay, the pastel palette, there was the retro glam palette. There were so many that just were not exciting to me. But the minute the I Need a Nude came out, okay, I love. I also have the glam palette, which is, but this really feels like an easy answer to all my summer needs because I have warm shades in here if I need it, but then there's a lot of cool shades like these guys down here. These two mattes are beautiful. And the metallics in here, I don't know if there's anything that's similar to this in my collection. I really, really love these because the shades, even though these two in the middle are kind of similar, they're very nuanced and different. I love the sparkle here. I love this soft satin that we get. The mattes are fantastic. This color collection is what I like. First of all, there's nothing that's too dark or too deep. And for somebody who's as fair as I am, that's important because in Natasha Denona's powder foundation, as well as in the concealer, I wear the shade N1. And I think there's an RN1, and that's it. So there's like one shade, and it's not even lighter, it's just a rosy neutral. So they're both fair, like the fairest ones she makes. I wear the lightest shade of foundation concealer. I'm wearing the concealer today. So I need stuff that's not too high contrast. So these less saturated, this is the darkest shade we have here, and I love that. Lightest one right here, other than some of the sparkly shades, but this turns out a perfect look. Now, I know some people who like to do more artistic looks with makeup will say every look comes out the same. Man, that to me is just like, great. That's what I want. I always want it to look good. I've never gotten a bad look out of this. And I feel like on days when I want to look like I have an elevated, beautiful look on the face, that's the day I want to reach for this because it's going to look effortless as well as glam and chic, but not too much. Last palette I have for you is the one that I'm wearing today. I love it so much. This is the Heaven on Earth palette from Sydney Grace. What's great about Sydney Grace is many of their large palettes will come in two different options, the light option or the deep option. And the difference is the majority of the palette is the same, like 75% of the palette is the same, but they will have either lighter shades that are light for fair and light tone skin, or deeper shades for transition and highlight for deep skin. So most of the colors are going to work for everybody, and then they're just going to switch out the ones that might look ashy on a deeper skin tone or might not be fair enough for people who have light skin. It's the same color story, and it's just adjusted to the depth of your skin tone, which to me is fabulous. So this is it. I really love these murky colors here. I heard the best thing ever, that one of the new trends that is coming back is 90s makeup, kind of like that grungy, smudgy, dirty, being born in the mid 70s and being in college in the 90s. Oh my goodness. Like that was the time when I had the most fun with makeup, and I didn't care. And I remember, wearing flannel. And by that point I was going to school in Washington State. So it was very much torn jeans, flannel, like smudgy, don't care sort of makeup, dark lips. I was like, oh, that's great. This is going to give me that really smudgy sort of retro look, but without being black or without being gray, because I love these more olive and bronzy tones. Like this shade here is gorgeous. I don't use these two shades down here in blue very much, but I do like these guys here. And this white is fantastic because although it looks white, when you put it on, it has like a blue flash to it, and you don't always see it until the light hits it. So I do sometimes use that as the highlight, like right in the center of the eye. Like if I were just to put like a little bit of it here, it totally changes the look and it brings a little bit more color. And I like tapping it over other colors so that it all kind of marries together. But it's such a transforming shade. I love this palette. Mine, of course, is in the fair, but I like that they have it in both options. And for me, I still feel Sydney Grace is making the sort of Like, look how metallic and creamy these are. These are fantastic. And I always show the metallics because I feel like they look like little jewels on the end of my fingertips. But I live for the mattes from Sydney Grace as well. So I don't feel like there's a bad formula of powder eyeshadow from Sydney Grace. There's so many beautiful things. Thank you so much for watching today. Here's where I want to remind you, if you want to see me use these palettes in kind of like a get ready with me or a try on and see swatches and stuff, I'm going to link a video featuring each one of these palettes in the description box down below. So, you know, look for the one that has the YSL Mini Couture, or the one from Beauty Pie, or the one from Muse from Lisa Eldridge. I'll have every single one of those down below because I do have videos that feature each of these palettes individually. But I'll just tell you, these are the sorts of things I want to make sure that I'm using what I already have, as well as kind of certain types of color stories, you know, warm pinks, cool neutrals, and some bronzy, warm, it's kind of sunny shades. I would love to know, do you wear makeup in the summertime? If you do you just like one easy shadow, like a liquid shadow or a cream shadow, you blend it out and you go? Do you eschew eye makeup altogether? And if you do wear eyeshadow, what types of eyeshadow do you like to wear? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.